and good afternoon. Greetings once again to all of our viewers and our listeners. And a lot of things have shifted a bit, and this is a wonderful month of October. So we know that our featured organization is going to be sharing some words of strength, words of wisdom, lots of information. And in light of time, they're going to make sure that we have all the links to learn as much as possible about the activities that are being hosted during this month of October 2021 by the drumroll Virgin Islands Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Council. We have to keep this energy like upwards because we're doing this in a space very virtual. And at the same time, we would like for persons to take what's being shared seriously. Have had the conversation and had the opportunity to work with the DVSAC, VIDVSAC, as we refer to them, for many years, have had the joy and privilege of being asked to do certain work alongside their, I love this, sexual assault response team. SART. I just want people to be on point that there is a response team. So it's not like you have to wait to do something, see something, say, they're going to do all of that. So with that being said, I'm Dr. Chizera Davies Kahina, navigating through various media networks, including Us Legacy, Conch Shell Media, and others. And we're using this opportunity whenever we can to let the community know about what organizations are doing, the ones that are engaged, the ones that are here to help the wider, the deeper breadth of our entire Virgin Islands community. And with that, I'd like to introduce Eldris, Sister Queen, Kiama A. Rahman, who serves as the SART team coordinator for the territory within DVSAC, and then she will introduce her colleague, Ms. Foy. Let's welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on, first of all, Dr. Chin. It's really an honor and a pleasure. So October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Now, I focus on sexual assault, and Kaylin focuses on both. So I'm going to just say a little bit about what I do in terms of sexual assault and then turn things over to her. And I will chime in. I do know a little bit about domestic violence. I will chime in on that, but I'm going to start with sexual assault. So I'm the sexual assault response team coordinator for the territory. And what that means is that I work with the team that we've established on St. Croix and the team on St. Thomas and St. John. These individuals are individuals that work with organizations that interface with sexual assault victims. And as a result, we wanted to gather them so that we can look at making sure that our responses are victim-centered so that they are moving through a system and a process that is not re-victimizing them, that is humane, that is an efficient one, and is helping to move them toward healing and becoming whole once again as a result of this traumatic experience they've had. And so what the teams do is to look at the protocols and the policies that their agencies have established to make sure that they are in fact working to the benefit of the survivors, and also looking, are we helping to address and eliminate the issue of sexual assault? Are we making our territory a safer place? So that's what we do in general. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Kaylin Foy so that she can talk about domestic violence in more depth and detail.
And we welcome Ms. Foy. Woo!
Thank you so much for having me on your show today to talk about a very important subject, domestic violence and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So my role at the Virgin Islands Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Council, or as most people know us as DVSAC, is the program liaison. And so under this role, I do a lot of training in regards to domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, et cetera, any form of gender-based violence. We try to address it in a culturally specific way here in the territory. And so I train government agencies, faith-based leaders. I'm the coordinator for the faith-based initiative, the committee. So we actually need more faith-based leaders to join us. We're having another call tonight at 6. I'm also a part of the criminal justice committee. So we do a lot of work, a lot of outreach in the community. I specifically train people that want to know more about domestic violence or know how to intersect or interact with people that may come to them in regards to domestic violence and sexual assault. Churches, government, faith-based institutions, the schools, university, etc. Those are the things that I do in my role. It's just some of the things.
Well, thank you for giving that overview, because sometimes persons, they hear coordinator and they're not sure exactly what that means, or they think manager and they're not also sure what that means of who they can contact, who they can ask. One of the things that I would really love for you to, both of you, to just kind of delve into for the listeners as well as for the viewers are your locations, how people can contact you, and what does DVSAC do? Like, is DVSAC different from the Family Resource Center or so forth?
That's a very good question. I'm so glad you brought that up. So people are often like, well, you guys should coordinate with the Family Resource Center or the Women's Coalition in St. Croix. And we do. Our organization, what we are is there is federal funds and a federal mandate that every state and territory have a state coalition. And so we are the territories coalition. And so there's national coalitions, then there's state territory coalitions, then there's actual programs that are on the ground working directly with survivors. And so what we do is we work with on the national level and on the local level in regards to policy, in regards to laws that affect those in the territory that have to do with domestic violence and sexual assault, et cetera. We help with technical assistance, that's helping other people to increase their capacity around this issue, awareness campaigns, prevention. So working towards how do we prevent this from continuing to be an epidemic in the territory? How do we reduce these crimes in the territory? How do we make not having domestic violence, sexual assault acceptable, et cetera, the norm? And how do we get there? So those are the things that we work with. The program agencies, Women's Coalition and Family Resource Center, they work directly with survivors, providing resources, providing housing. We provide training and support to them in their organizations and their programs. We support their events, different outreach initiatives that they have as well. So we work very closely with the agencies and with the organizations, but we each work our part in regards to addressing domestic violence here in the territory.
Excellent. Sometimes people do not get that full clarity regarding how the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Council operates, a little differently in terms of providing the advocacy, yes, and the education, yes, and training, and that some of the other direct services are provided by other agencies, but you all work together. I just would I like asking that question so the persons are really comfortable on what they're being asked to do. I think it's kind of amusing because sometimes we're not sure, right? And it's important to know that. My other question would be to add, are there specific programs? I know that earlier this month you had a motorcade, and it seemed like a lot of persons were involved. I appreciate that was something that was particular to St. Croix, or did that get to happen on all the islands? Or just share a little bit about that program and what other programs you have going on for the month, please.
Well, actually, the ride out was rescheduled. So we have on the island of St. Croix, it's the ride out against domestic violence. It'll be October 27th at 7 p.m. So people can call for information. They can call our main office. The number is 719-0144. It's an awesome event. So those that want to bicycle out and support and talk about domestic violence, that's one event. And Kiama has an awesome event coming up. So I'll let her talk about that. That's this Friday. We definitely want people to support that event. Tonight, I'm having a faith-based meeting, calling all faith-based leaders, and not just pastors, but even auxiliary department heads, etc., because we need people talking about this and helping people on all levels in the youth ministry. So many young people dealing with teen dating violence, to even our, senior citizens, like involving the usher board. So that's tonight at 6. We have that meeting once a month, the third Tuesday of the month. That's the DVSAC faith-based committee. And then on November 17th, we're having a Know Your Laws, a workshop that is free for people to attend. It's going to be from 9 to noon, I believe. So we're looking, so if anybody wants to be involved in any, we are always having different activities. In addition to, we do free outreach, and we do Zoom workshops. I mean, we're in person, we're doing all kind of stuff. But to reach us at 719-0144, I want Kiama to talk a little about her really awesome workshop that's coming up this Friday.
Go ahead, Sister Kiama. Are you still with us?
You're on mute.
You have to unmute.
Sorry. Thank you, Kaylin. I'm very, very excited about this. It is the very last day, business day, I should say, of the month of October. It's October 29th. And it occurred to me that recently I was thinking, and it's like, wow, we need to get more males involved in ending violence against women and children. And so this session, this virtual conversation, is dedicated to that theme, elaborating on the kinds of partnerships, the kind of collaborations we need to be creating with our brothers and with young boys, so on and so forth. So I'm very, very excited about this. It's from 1:30 to 3:30. We will put the link information on the Facebook page, and so that those of you that are interested can attend. We've got local speakers. Carnell Troutman from the Men's Coalition will be speaking, along with Neville Williams, who does the men's groups on St. Thomas. And then we have another Mr. Williams, Oliver Williams, from University of Minnesota. He has been doing this work for over 30 years. All of these presenters are very, very in tune with the issue, have been doing this work for many, many years. And so they will be talking from their perspective. Of course, we'll have Q&A. I'm wanting to have some small group discussions, because I want folks to really get creative in terms of brainstorming around the ways we can create partnerships and really do this work collaborative way, because this myth, here's one of the myths. This is a woman's issue, that it's not something that men need to be involved with. They absolutely need to be involved, because when we think about prevention and intervention is a batterer's group. Intervention is doing education with adult males after the fact. But we need to do more preventative work. We need to work with the young boys with rites of passage, helping them understand what their role and responsibility is to their community, to themselves, and what it means to show respect for one another and to show respect for women. I believe if those kinds of values were instilled, there would not be the level of violence against women that we are experiencing, not only just in the territory, but literally globally. This is an issue. So I am really excited about engaging males and looking at the conversations that we need to be having and continue to have.
Thank you very much for sharing that type of information, so persons know the importance of engaging in these programs that are being organized by the Virgin Islands Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Council.
I know it's a mouthful.
But it's a good mouthful. It's a mouthful we need to know. That was one of the reasons why I even asked the types of questions that I'm asking, so we can, because I'm sure person, are familiar with DVSAC to a point. However, it's important that they know the importance, especially with what's going on in our community right now.
Mm.
And there's been an increase of DV related to a number of things, not just, the way the world and its dissolution state, but just the fact that there's a lot of change and a lot of persons have not received the type of support or realize that they have supportive agencies like VIDVSAC that can provide some support before it gets out of hand.
Right.
Are there any other like websites, social media linkages that we can share while we're having these types of discussions? I know that you've given us some dates for activities for the balance of October. Definitely would like to repeat those, as well as those activities that are coming up in November, and I'm sure for the rest of the year. Are there any other signature events or any other highlights, messages you would like the community to gather from you? So,
At this time, we're planning a couple of major conferences for next year in regards to domestic violence, sexual assault. One will be focused on reaching and teaching faith-based leaders in regards to domestic violence and sexual assault and human trafficking, et cetera. And that's going to be really good because it's going to conclude with them signing a pledge. And then we'll publish everybody who pledged to help in the fight to all the faith-based leaders. And we'll mark it and put it out there, everybody who joined this effort and who's speaking up to say no against domestic violence and sexual assault. And then the second one is going to be more focused on really a deep dive in regards to domestic violence and sexual assault, like a 1.5-day session. So those are really in the initial stages. So I want people to keep their eyes open for those in 2022. I can't believe we're already saying 2022. But people can definitely check out our website, vidvsac.net. So vidvsac.net. Join our Facebook page, the Virgin Islands Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Council. We really try to update that. That's updated all the time with events, with flyers. I just posted this on there so people can watch this interview. So I always try to post things on our page. We even have some job openings. So if we're really looking for an accountant, a skilled development manager for VIDVSAC. So anybody looking for a job that has those type of skills, please feel free to apply. And they can call, if you want to support our events, or you're looking for a job, or you just want to keep up with us, you can call us at 719-0144. That's 719-0144. Email your resume if that's what you're interested in to info@vidvsac.net. And then you can also visit our website. The website has more information about what we do and our programs. And so if you really want to learn more about it, visit our website, vidvsac.net. But I highly, highly recommend that you join our Facebook page, share it, ask other people to join as well. We're really trying to build our social media presence.
thank you for sharing that, because that's something that's really somewhat critical. And we might want to look at a couple of things in the near future, because I'm just noticing a lot of persons are engaging with you all, like inside of Facebook. I take it you have a Twitter presence. Is it the same?
No, we need to, and this is where, we've been in transition. We just got some new staff members. Wonderful. And so we're really revisiting our social media. So right now we're building Facebook.
Okay.
Next year, beginning of next year, we're going to have our YouTube page, because we have a lot of videos and PSAs. So we just need to upload them and have them in one space. And then once we get to Twitter, the thing about Twitter is you want to make sure it's managed, because people, have conversations with you. So to make sure that we have someone on the team that's able to manage that, as well as starting an Instagram. So, we're kind of late to the game with some of the social media.
Oh, no, never late. With social, No, social media, you're never late. It's when you get there. It's when you get there. And then it
Yeah.
just, right, because you might think that, there's probably companies, particularly not-for-profit organizations that will have social media presence, but it's not really effective. And then it'll be organizations that just came in. And once they do their setup, it's like boom, 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 boom. And it's like, wow, they've been here a long time. And you're giggling. No, we did this a week ago. But it's it's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be wonderful. Because most persons are getting, I like the fact that you all were able to just share some of the programs that are ongoing. I know that these are national observances as well as regional observances around domestic violence, and just being aware. That term aware has a lot of meaning. So I'm very grateful that you all are not only helping people to be aware, but you're also giving some options on how people can get support and care and various services so that we can reduce, what's a nice word? Decrease, better than that. Eradicate. How about that?
Yes, eliminate.
That's what we're working on. That's what we're working on.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that being said, are there some other commentary, some other pieces that you really would like to make sure that the community is aware of? And, we're looking forward, this is something that we can do again. So because I know that there's a host of programs that you're doing. So I'm not trying to make you compartmentalize everything you all do in one show. Yes.
In addition to Domestic Violence Awareness Month, people aren't aware of some of the other awareness months. So January is Stalking Awareness Month, and it's also Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So we'll be doing some things around both of those. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And people really, don't realize how teen dating violence is affecting our youth. And so, I know I'm totally dating myself, but if you think back to when I was younger and we had an actual phone with a cord on it, and you're talking to your friend and your parent might not have been too far away, and they hear you talking, and you might have had like might have been like you're changing your tone, or maybe you were crying on the phone, and then your parent is like, well, what's wrong? What's going on? What's going on with your friends? And then they were able to kind of respond to it at that moment. Now everything is text, they're texting, it's all digital. And so you're not getting the auditory response to be able to respond. You're not getting that as quickly that your child is having a problem, that they're having an issue, that they're being cyber stalked, that they're, that someone is trying to, approach them illegally, like an older person is trying to, get them. So you might find out later, but not as early as parents might have found out back in the day. So it's even more important that we have these conversations with children around healthy relationships. It's even more important that we model healthy relationships for the children. So February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. We do a lot of activities and a lot of awareness in regards to that. And then April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And then October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So those are the months that you'll see us a lot more active. And then in between that is where we'll have our conferences and other outreach initiatives. I think it's also important that we put attention to the end of the year. Sometimes there's a spike in domestic violence in the end of the year. And in the beginning of the year is when a lot of survivors will then just like, okay, it's a new year. I'm a new me. I'm gonna get it. I want to change. I want to get out of this situation. And they're reaching out for help. And so we really want to promote the local agencies, Family Resource Center and Women's Coalition of St. Croix, as resources for survivors to access help at that time.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry, I had to step away for a minute because some folks wanted to figure out how to locate us. So I'm back. If possible, I would like to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the information that we share when we do go out and do presentations and engage with different audiences. And we oftentimes talk about some of the myths. We talk about some of the reasons that women stay. We talk about some signs, and I would like to maybe spend just a few minutes starting with some of the myths, because there's more myths information than factual information that's out here. So oftentimes we're operating on misinformation. For instance, oh, it's those people over there. It's, poor people. It's lower socioeconomic folks. No, this dynamic does not discriminate in any way. It's across the board. It's rich folks, poor folks. It's all faith communities. It's across the board. And so that's one of the myths that we need to get rid of. Oh, that could never happen to me. That could never happen in my community or in my faith tradition. Some people believe, oh, it's if he would just get a handle on his anger, then he could get on top of things and change his behavior. This isn't about anger. This is about power and control. This is about wanting to assert one's will over someone else. So it's about dominating someone else, controlling someone else. He may, if he has anger problems, then he's got two problems at least. He's got the anger issue and he's got the need to control. And you notice I'm using the pronoun he. We do know that there are males that are abused and there are females that are abusive. However, the statistics indicate that overwhelmingly, the perpetrators, the individuals who initiate the violence, are males. And the individuals impacted, affected, are female. So I want to clarify that, why I personally use the pronoun he. Also, another myth is that, he's got low self-esteem, she's got low self-esteem. That may be an issue, but the reality is, once again, it's not about low self-esteem. If you look at how pervasive it is and think about some of the high-profile individuals, Rihanna at one point was in the news because of Chris Brown. Think about the number of high visibility athletes that are in the news because of domestic violence, and we could name all day long. So it's not about low self-esteem. They may have low self-esteem, but there's other things going on. If we're talking about the perpetrator, again, we're talking about the need for power and control. If we're talking about the victim, she may have low self-esteem, but that is not the issue. That's not the reason she's being abused. And so we got to get it straight in terms of some of the myths that we operate on. Oftentimes we say, oh, well, the children, they're not aware of it, they're not seeing it. As long as it's not around them, the children are affected. The children are affected by it, and we need to be mindful of that. We're raising another generation that is impacted by what they're seeing, what they're hearing, and even if they're not present when it's going on. There are so many other myths that I could go into, but I wanted to at least dispel some of the basic ones that we're operating from, so that we have some maybe more awareness. Here's the last one. I have to always remember to say this one. Well, it can't be that bad or else she would leave. And that allows me to then talk about why women stay. But before I do that, I want to say, can we stop asking that question? And instead of asking why she stays, ask, why is he abusive? Why is he violent? But I do want to address some of that. I came out of a family where there was violence that I experienced as a child. My father was abusive, and not every child that experiences it later on experiences it as an adult. However, with males, they're saying that about 30% of young boys who experienced the violence in the household will grow up to be abusive. And that I haven't seen the statistics in terms of females. It may be a coincidence, but the reality, I can say from my own experience, not only was my mother abused, but I wound up also as an adult experiencing abusive relations. It's been many years ago, and I'm so grateful that I have healed and moved on. But that's a reality that we have to think about and deal with. So this thing about it being low self-esteem, so on and so forth. I may have had low self-esteem, but more than just that was going on. So I want us to stop overly focusing on the self-esteem and look at some of the other issues. So I want to talk about why women stay. Women oftentimes stay because of the finances. I asked my mother when I became an adult, so Mom, why didn't you just leave? And she reminded me they didn't have shelters back then. And I come from a large family. She said, what would I have done with all you kids? Where would I have gone with all of you? And she really, her generation believed that a half a man was better than no man at all. They really believed that. And so a lot of, and she said, I stayed for the sake of the children. So oftentimes women will make that sacrifice, but I also have met women who, when the violence then extended to the children, they were out of there, they left. So some women are staying because it has not extended yet to the children. Also, there are some women, they still love this man. They remember how he was when they first met. And that's who she's hoping he will become once again. She doesn't want the relationship to end. She wants the violence to end. So she's staying, hoping that his promises, I'm going to do better, I'm going to change. If you just work with me, I know we can get through this. So many reasons, lack of options. If she's looking at her circumstances, she may or may not have job skills. She may not see any options for herself. And this is related to finances, but it's more than that. It's her thinking about her future and not feeling she has any options. Also, here's another one, pressure from whether it's your faith community, your friends. Girl, that's a good man. He takes good care of you. You've got this, you've got that, material things, but they're not thinking about the fact that he is abusive. He may be emotionally abusive to her and to the children. So the pressure from others to stay and make it work. The faith community for a long time was very guilty of this. I think there's been a shift in terms of their understanding and awareness, but in the past, it's often been pray, go home and pray over it and work it out. And that kind of pressure oftentimes causes someone to stay. Well, maybe I'm not praying hard enough. Maybe I'm not working hard enough. Maybe I'm not being a good enough mother, good enough spouse and partner. Let me just work a little harder. Let me try a little harder. So there's so many reasons that women stay in abusive relationships. And it doesn't help that society is so lacking in compassion and understanding. Girl, you can do better than that. Well, what resources are out there to help me do better? So anyway, I could go on and on. Kaylin,
this was important because some people don't get this depth of information and think that DVSAC is doing things on a light level. So I think it's very valuable, very important. So thank you for bringing up those different layers so the persons can know, the breadth, because maybe I need to say that quick. Some people think it's just you come when they're really, 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 really bad, like at the last rung, you drag to the hospital and that kind of thing. But yeah, you learn the signs from what you have just shared, as well as Ms. Ford sharing, it gives people like a developmental option of how they can get some help or get some support or know what's going on before it gets really beyond their ability to do anything or
exactly
really a life-threatening situation. Exactly. And that's what what I'm hearing when you're saying that. So it wasn't that, because we like when you go on because it gives people detailed knowledge. that's what this broadcast has always been about. We attempt to bring organizations in our community that are actually doing something and being able to offer people some solutions. I mean, it's nothing wrong with the selective 3 to 5 minute allocation for complaining, but after the 4.5 minutes, like right in the eve of the 5th minute, we need to move to the solution part, because otherwise we get drawn up in that anger mismanagement, which I'm sure in some of your work you already addressed that. I am grateful that we were even able to pull some content together so that persons can know what's going on. I really would like for you to come back. I know that there's something on the 27th. If you can give us some reminders on those activities that are forthcoming, I would really appreciate that.
So we have the Virgin Islands Cycling Federation on St. Croix. You had asked a question earlier, and I don't think we answered it. DVSAC is actually located on all 3 islands. We have offices on all 3 islands. We have representatives. We also have staff that go out as low as the Head Start level, talking about healthy touch, healthy relationships, healthy friendships. So on all levels, into the schools, the high schools, we're everywhere. So it's the Ride Out Against Domestic Violence. Call our number at 719-0144 for information for that. We have the Know Your Laws. That's on November 17th. That's a free conference. People are welcome to come. Again, call our number. I wanted to make sure people had our correct website. I gave the wrong one earlier. It's vidvsac.info, actually. So you can visit our website for information, call our number, info@vidvsac is email address. We have jobs opening as well, and as well as Kiama's event on October 29th in regards to engaging men. So we're looking for men, young boys, women, anybody is welcome to come and hear that conversation and learn more information. So those are just some of our upcoming events.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I know that I encourage everyone, if you do not have your purple ribbon, they have a lot of them at DVSAC.
We do.
Right.
Yes, so people know that purple is the color for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So wear your purple ribbon to show support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we're excited to be able to see. And I came all out with different kind of boxes that had all kinds of purple.
Oh, great.
We're getting there to make sure, and I'm very grateful for you making sure that we had some as well to be able to distribute here on St. Croix, as well as in St. Thomas. We were able to share some over there. Well, this has been a really interesting, engaging interview. I'm appreciative that you all were able to make some time in that very engaging schedule, because as I listen, I could tell with all of these new developments, you stay busy. And if there's any closing reflection that you'd like to say, any closing quote, commentary, well wish, so that we can move this forward, I would really appreciate that.
Well, we're looking for volunteers. We're looking for support, looking for faith-based leaders. I have a meeting tonight at 6 with faith-based leaders. We really just want the community to say, we do not stand with domestic violence. We don't want domestic violence in our territory. And I think that's a good start.
Excellent, excellent.
The thing that I would like to leave with, and Kaylin, I apologize in advance. When she and I talk, she reminds me that she does not like to talk about the signs of an abuser or abuse, because some people will look at that list and say, oh, I don't see anything on there that fits me, so I'm not in an abusive relationship. I want to talk about some of the signs of an abuser. And I also want to preface it by saying this. What you have to think about is the extent that this may be happening. For instance, jealousy, unfortunately, is fairly common with a lot of males, but I'm talking extreme jealousy. You know, can't nobody look at you without him going into a rage. That's the kind of jealousy I'm talking about, and that's on my list. Controlling behavior, not, babe, I don't like that outfit you got on. Can you find something different? Not that. I'm talking totally controlling everything you wear, every place you go, everybody you talk to, don't want your mama talking to you, don't want your family talking to you, wants to totally isolate you so that they can control you, okay? Because the control allows him then to exercise the violence. And he may not have to exercise it if he can totally control you, but he may have to use the violence in order to maintain his control. So paying attention to his need to isolate you, or you spending too much time with your friends. I need, you know, it's one thing to say, babe, you've been out every weekend with your girlfriends. Can we get some time? That's a little different from, I don't want you going out with anybody but me. And you know, if it's not me, you can't go out. So I want you to hear, because this is what I think concerns Kaylin, is somebody will look at lists and say, don't see myself on there. He doesn't do that like that. So I want to emphasize, it's not the little, it's extreme, but it also starts out a little bit and then increases. Lack of compassion. How does he treat other people? And especially, how does he treat women in general? A man that's abusive toward his partner is more than likely not going to be very kind and generous to other women. Now, these are also very manipulative individuals. They are very charming, and charismatic, so on and so forth. So it gets kind of dicey because he appears to be just a wonderful person to everybody else but you. And that whole Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde is part of the profile, okay? So again, these folks are not coming at you with all their worst qualities. They're coming at you with the best. Anger, we talked about anger management. And again, here I want to say disproportionate. So a minor situation happens and they just totally explode. I'm not talking about getting a little upset and saying, you know, wow, that really disturbed me that you did X, Y, and Z, but just literally losing it over the least little thing. So the anger is disproportionate to the incident. Here's another one that's very important. Blames you and others for his violent behavior. Babe, I wouldn't have to hit you if you would behave yourself. I wouldn't have to hit you if you would do what I tell you to do. You know, I don't know. It's, you know, everybody is just out to get me, is so on. Never taking responsibility for the actions, and particularly for the violent behavior. These are the kinds of signs you want to pay attention to. And if any of those, and I didn't even name all of them, you know, but if any of those signs are apparent in a relationship, you need to really revisit whether you want to really remain in this relationship, because what we find out is that almost never does the violence lessen. It usually increases over time, and in some instances, unfortunately, can become deadly. So those are some of the things I want to leave with people to really about. You know, what does it mean to be in a healthy relationship? And none of the stuff I just described is about a healthy relationship.
And now that we have had our webinar intensive on the essence and the elements of domestic, I feel like we were in a session, and grateful for that, because you gave some very cogent, clear pieces so persons can start to think about what they see and what's really happening. Sometimes our perceptions are off, and you know,
exactly,
surviving multiple natural disasters and world order changes as we have in less than 5 years, that can make almost anybody a little out of balance, sort of.
It's a good point. Yeah.
You know, so that's why I'm really grateful that you all were taking time to explain what DVSAC does, the composition, the priorities, you know, your mission, your vision, so that persons that are listening, people that are hearing this, can really get an idea of exactly who to call, where they can engage with the Virgin Islands Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Council. So I want to thank you both for just making this, again, an hour goes by quickly.
It really does.
It
Yeah.
really does. And I know that we can have some more discourse. And as you know, we move forward, even if it's just once a month, to kind of let the community know this is what's going on with DVSAC, and these are some places where you can see it. We're going to leave this particular video up on YouTube so persons can see and have access. And if they have questions, the number is, I think I'm going to remember it in a minute, 340-719-0144. Did we get that?
That's it.
340-719-0144. And that's so that you can call, get some firsthand information of your own. Make sure that you engage. If you are already doing pretty well, have some time, it would be great for you to support them. You heard the term volunteer. We're not voluntolding you. We're just asking if you have, a couple hours here or there to see if there's a way to really help via DVSAC to be able to continue to bring all of these different services and support for our very much so not needy, but our community that does embrace the things we need. How about that?
That'll work.
That's right. We're really grateful. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation to even do this.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you again, Ms.
Thank
Boy,
you.
sharing with us. And we're looking forward to having some more broadcasts in the very near future. All right.
Thank you. Thank
We're
you.
looking forward to it.
Yes. And thank you for the great work that you do over at UVI.
Give thanks. We're doing our best, trying to keep it moving